going back into session and starting off with the executive officer's report.
Okay, let me turn my mic on. So page 255 is the rulemaking status report. For the new board members, when this board authorized staff to begin a rulemaking effort, once we begin that and we start the process, then we will report the status of it as things change. So that's the purpose of the status report versus whenever we'll bring a rulemaking to you for you to take action on. This does not change very often. I'm going to give you a fair warning. It doesn't change very often. The only thing that really changed in this one on page 255 is Dawn and her staff, Angela, or our budget analyst, have been working really hard with DCA budgets and budgets approved, everything. So finally, we got through that big step, which is a huge step, is getting everything approved in all the collaboration with budgets. So that has moved that way. So we're finally moving forward with our fee reg package. So that's good. Thanks to Don and Angela for that. And then the other three, there really hasn't been much movement on that because we've been focusing a lot of our attention rulemaking wise on the fee rulemaking, which is important for us right now. And then we have another one the board has approved enacting regulations related to licensure for UK, United Kingdom Chartered Engineers. And that's something hasn't even made to this list yet because that's how new it is. So hopefully it'll show up on a list next time. We'll see. But that's the update. That's the only real update of this. And if anyone has any questions.
I do.
Yeah.
So fees. So now the budget office approved the package. So what will be the next step and when do you anticipate?
It goes to DCA. Dawn may have to run up here and save me. It goes to DCA executive for approval, and then it'll go to agency.
She comes.
Is she running? Is she
She's
coming up?
up.
Depending on how bad and wrong my answer is, she'll walk faster.
Ruth here, you might want to introduce DP,
Okay,
the regulations.
She brought me.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm right here.
there we go. The microphone's on.
Oh, okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm DP Miller, and I am your new regulatory counsel. So I have been working with Angela on the fees package. And just as Rick was saying, there are several phases to the rulemaking process. So right now with fees, for example, it got through budget, and now I've been working with Angela back and forth, and it will go up to the director, then to agency, then on to OAL. It'll be noticed. And so it's kind of a lengthy process, but it's moving along. So nice to meet you all.
We're still hoping no later than July 1st next year, but it could still be by January 1st possibly.
Correct. So the usual implementation dates, effective dates are quarterly, unless you have some good cause. And here, if we move things along, and fees are pretty straightforward. We're not asking to go, anything beyond a statutory maximum, of course. So it should be doable. Yep. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much.
That's why they're here.
Yes. So if everything's approved, not about so for our package, I think the effective date for the fee increase is at when again?
So the way we have it written, what you approved is no later than July 1st, 2026, but we're trying to shoot for January 1st, 2026.
Yes.
Though
Thank you.
that would be mid-year, it fits our projections and fits what we'd like to do a little bit better. It just depends on the timing and when it becomes effective.
Just a little concerned about our budget. So, yeah.
Is there any other discussion from board members? Open up the floor to the public for comment. Seeing none, moderator, can you please open up WebEx for public comment?
Certainly. If anyone would like to make a comment on the rulemaking process or report, you may look for the hand icon, typically at the left bottom of your WebEx screen or behind the 3-dot other options if you're on a mobile device. And each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Any comments on the rulemaking report? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to personnel, we still, the only active position I believe we have open is the senior registrar engineer position. We're actively accepting applications and hopefully people are submitting their supplemental exam to be on the exam list. Let's consider that and hopefully fill that position as soon as we can, which I doubt it will be the next few months. But we'll see.
Do you have any discussion from the board? Floor is open to the public for comment. Seeing none, moderator, can you please open WebEx for public comment?
Certainly, if anyone would like to make a comment on the personnel report, you can look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each person will be given 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Are there any comments on the personnel report? I do not see any requests. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to ASBOG report. I don't have a lot to report on this, other than we did submit our out-of-state travel request to attend their annual meeting. I think it's is it November or October? It's November. Hang on. Get the right calendar here. It is October. The week of October 13th, so the 14th through the 15th, and then Council of Examiners meetings after that. We submitted our out-of-state travel request for that. I don't know if it's even really been looked at yet. They have yet to approve our annual meeting for NCAAS travel request. Being that the ASBOG one would require funding out of our own budget, we probably have at best a 50% chance of getting that approved. And we asked for Betsy and myself to be able to attend. It's in Salt Lake City. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. It's kind of a year that's not good for budgets to approve out-of-state travel requests that cost money. That's all I have for ASBOG at this point. Betsy, is there anything you have?
No.
Okay. That's all I have for ASBOG.
Let's
Yeah.
do comments. Discussion from the board on this item? No discussion. Floor is open to the public for comment. Seeing none, moderator, can you please open WebEx for public comment?
Certainly, if anyone would like to make a comment on the ASBOG report, you may look for the hand icon at the bottom of the WebEx screen. Click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Any comments on the ASBOG information? I do not see any requests. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the NCES annual meeting, which is coming up in a few weeks, August 19th through 22nd in New Orleans. Couple things on this before we get into the meeting materials. But we initially, this board chose who the funded delegates would be. Unlike the ASBOG, the funded delegates for the NCAAS meeting are fully funded by the national organization. There's no money out of our own budget. Doesn't mean we're automatically approved for those either. We're still waiting on final approval. It did pass DCA, so it's up at agency and governor's office. The last indication I got earlier this week was we may hear something in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see. But they would not even allow it to be passed on from DCA without narrowing down the number of funded delegates. So we had to narrow it down to 2. And I worked with Christina and Guillermo at the time because it was right over to change over in your administrations. And we decided we'd have a public member and a licensed member. So Rosanna and Christina, we pushed their names on further for being approved. That was the only two that they would allow. So we'll see if we get approval for that. And then the board meeting the meeting materials on the annual meeting begins on page 256. It's a little lengthy. It's not as lengthy as it has been in the past, but these are all the motions, all the reports from the committees, the consent calendar from the board of directors. I gave you a little heads up that if there's any motions that anyone would like to discuss, we definitely do not need to discuss all the motions and all the discussions. But if there's anything that caught your eye, I do have a few that I kind of, caught my attention a little bit just to make sure. And I also want to do this jointly. Because he provides such other insight that I do not, I want to introduce Aaron Blaisdell. He is the current Western Zone Vice President for NCWS. 4 zones. We have a Vice President that's elected. We're in the Western Zone. Aaron is a board member of the Washington State Board. So Aaron, introduce you a little bit.
It's on.
It's on, yeah.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for this time today. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and other members of the board. My name is Aaron Blaisdell. I am here on behalf of NCWS. I do have to do my duty as a Washington State board member, that I have to disclaim that all my speech and my words here are my own opinions and not on behalf of the board of Washington State. So hopefully if my Attorney General advising is listening, she's happy that I said that. Right now, I currently hold licenses in 4 states, Washington being my home state, Alaska, Oregon, and Idaho. What that does is provide me a little bit of perspective in other jurisdictions, member boards that I also am working with. As Western Zone Vice President that Rick mentioned, I have the honor of representing this board, California, and 14 other member boards, including Guam, Hawaii, Northern Mariana Islands, Montana, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Idaho, Oregon. I think I mentioned all those. And so it really allows you, this board, to also gain the perspective of those other boards. I would be remiss to say that this board is at the leading edge of what we do at NCWS National. And Rick and others are extremely involved and extremely passionate about some of the things that are going on nationally that they can bring back to the California board, but also the California board and what you have discussed and issues before you can be brought forward to the national level. And so I am your representative most closely to take ideas and thoughts back and then bring those thoughts back to you. One of the things in going through the motions that you're probably seeing is just what our process is. I know that there's 2 new board members here today. Board member Hallinan, if I pronounce that right, and then board member Haggard. So welcome to this new process. Maybe I should apologize that it's going to be like a fire hose of information, acronyms. That's what they call it, the alphabet soup of acronyms here. So by all means, through this presentation, or if you see something across your desk, reach out. It's a group of very passionate professionals and individuals who are willing to help out. Board members like Frank and Christina and Rosanna being involved at the level that they do really provides a huge amount of influence when it comes to the national level. And so my appreciation personally for their involvement and allowing their involvement at the national level in exam development, in committee work, all the way up to at the leadership level. NCAAS could not do it without them, and I can certainly not do it without their support. Next year, or coming up this year, NCAAS works on a rotation schedule with the leadership. And so current president is Andy Zeltwell from the North Carolina board. The Southern Zone next year, it's going to be Elizabeth Beckett Johnston, who is from Alaska. Western Zone, past assistant vice president. And so she brings a perspective of the Western Zone member boards. And so again, we have a unique ability to focus on issues of Western Zone and kind of get those propelled to the forefront. So I don't know, I don't want to, take up time that is valuable to Rick and the rest. I provided some slides as sort of a background of what NCAAS does. I can certainly answer any questions, including questions with regard to, it's on
So
the
I was
screen.
going to ask, since that was a natural interruption there. I was going to ask if you want to do these kind of out of order, if you can kind of do a little bit of an introduction of what NCAAS is, because it will go through, I think, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But it also helps set the framework a little bit for our discussion on the motions. And plus he could add a little bit to that.
Sounds good.
Does that sound good? Okay.
So I'm not able to advance the slides, but maybe.
Moderator, are you able to advance the slides for us?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So just a title slide and next slide. So this is just an overview of what the slides are going to be talking about. Oh, this is great.
What?
The power in this room that you all have is just amazing. I'm going to certainly take it back to the Washington board that this is extraordinary, and I don't know.
You tell them you asked and you got here.
Right, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, this might not be. Oh my gosh.
And we gave
Yeah.
you the office yesterday.
Yes, and I think the entire Washington State Board office could fit in the supply room of the California Board office. So anyway, overview here. So next slide, please. Next slide. Again, the vision and mission of NCAAS. I'm not going to read it. You can read it at your leisure. Next slide, please. Okay, here's our organizational structure. 16 or 69 member boards, and that goes all the way with the Puerto Rico, Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands. But some of the member boards are split boards, so they have a survey board and a engineer board that are separate. You might also key in that with 69 member licensing boards, each board gets one vote at the organizational level. Okay. Sometimes that's not a great thing based on population size or what have you, but that's the organization that we have. I think that it lends itself to more collaboration, dialogue, that those folks that do have the one vote, it's held very special to them and passionate, absolutely. And so it really engages them. Again, I said that we're part of the Western Zone, or this board is part of the Western Zone, 15 boards. Next slide, please. We're set up with board of directors. Anytime that we talk about board of directors, we talk about a rotational cycle, president-elect, immediate past president, the treasurer, and then 4 of the zone vice presidents. We all meet quarterly, and then with other special meetings in between. There is also a member board executive or a member board administrator that attends each of the meetings to provide their perspective. Director Rick has attended. You've attended, yeah. And it's very engaging. Rick doesn't sit on his hands about any issue which he's passionate about or this board is passionate about at the national level. Next slide. Zone officers. So again, I am the zone vice president. My assistant is Scott Sales with the Arizona board. And then the secretary currently is Dave Meetin with the Washington State Board, structural engineer, PE. And we just had an election in Albuquerque at which Perry Valdez with the New Mexico board, the member board administrator, he was elected by our zone to be the secretary coming up. Okay, next slide. I wanted to just key in on this. This is probably the favorite slide of mine, and it's the volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everyone within NCWS, excluding actual staff, but the president-elect, treasurer, zone vice presidents are all volunteers. We volunteer our time. Some of us are consultants. Some of us work for municipalities, and some of us are retirees. And we all give back to the profession, but very explicitly, we still maintain the public protection. We maintain that public protection by mandating defensible and progressive and responsible exams and examination processes. So right now there's approximately, all in the 69 member boards, approximately 1,000 actual board members. Some boards are larger than others. Okay, California board is one of those. You have a public member resource, a large contingent of public members. There are some boards, Washington State being one of those, that we do not have public members as part of our member board structure. There are some boards in the southern zone, northeast zone and central zone at which they do not have a term limit restriction, if you will. Some board members have continued on with their boards, and that's a benefit that they see within their structure. Probably like California, Washington State also has a term limit structure at which we can serve 2 5-year terms. We can only renew once. The exam development volunteers is a huge resource to NCWS. NCWS could not function without the exam volunteers. Earlier in the agenda, and when we were talking about, or when you folks were talking about the structural exam process and building that structural exam and the pass rates, the pretest questions, how those questions come to be, the evolution of an exam. It's all built around the volunteer body that is included there. Those volunteers are folks from member boards and folks from industry and other professionals. To be an exam development volunteer, you do not need to be and serve on a board. You can be a professional, licensed professional in good standing within any jurisdiction and be involved. And there's a huge resource out there. Hopefully, with everybody in this, board makeup, you all have a chance to serve as an exam development volunteer. It really provides a perspective, learning experience for how exams are developed under the auspices of a psychometrician, much like California does with their state exams. Next slide, please. These are just the NCAAS staff numbers. The staff are very much engaged in the process, much like the volunteers. The NCAAS structure could not exist without the staff. They pick up the ball and run with a lot of sometimes ideas that this board has from your perspective of California, and try to provide them in a perspective across nationally or a national front. That includes a lot of help, or that needs a lot of help from staff to do that. If there is an issue before you, there's most likely the same issue or about to become the same issue in another state or another member board. And we rely on staff to really align each one of us, each one of our member boards to benefit, obviously, the public first and foremost. Headquartered in Greenville, South Carolina, the NCAAS organization has set up, if, I don't know, Rick and others probably on the board maybe have been involved a long time with NCAAS and remember where they were located before their current location in Clemson, South Carolina, but now the headquarters is in Greenville. And when you're exam volunteer, you are brought in, your expenses are all covered. You are brought in and you are fully immersed in the exam development process. You are there as a expert in your discipline. You're there as an expert at maybe your field or providing your observations. You're developing exam questions. You may be reviewing exam questions, or you may be just auditing the process to ensure that there's another set of eyes on this. So it's a unique experience that I hope and I challenge each one of you to become engaged in. Next slide, please. This is just a graph showing, or a chart showing sort of the makeup and the various divisions of NCAAS. Most notably, you're probably going to hear the most from the CEO, Davey McDowell, who's also a PE, and Lehman Deacle, who's the chief officer of the examinations. He's also a PE. Next slide, please. These are the various products and services that NCAAS provides. I want to key in on the very last two items of the member services, being the records in the international registry and the credential evaluations. It's something that this board obviously talks about a lot. Our Washington board talks about it a lot, about ensuring that the applications, the records, the information that are provided to the board for evaluation for qualifications of licensure are relevant and consistent. And we want to make sure that we align with as much comedy or mobilization or mobility that's going on right now. We want to try to align each one of our applications to each other. They're not going to be the same. Obviously, each state has their own statutes, rules, and authorities, but to provide a candidate or someone applying for licensure to where a terminology is maybe the same is a huge benefit to the process. And so we want to look at that. one of the initiatives that I have as Western Zone Vice President is to ensure that that record or the application process is consistent and it aligns with each one of us. There shouldn't be a terminology or a subject gap. Whether you're applying to Washington State or California or Montana, we should all be talking the same language, and that ensures consistency to the applicant. Next slide. These are the other things that NCAAS provides. Excuse me. The first and foremost one is advocacy. This is one of the things that I've tried to build up as part of my tenure as Western Zone Vice President, and that's advocacy for member boards when they have issues or they themselves become something in which sunset laws or legislatures look at reducing or affecting NCAAS really seeks the role of maintaining public protection and the role of a board to ensure that that public protection is at forefront. We can provide as an overall advocacy group to the board. It's one of the things that we also do from the standpoint of internal, as you go through these action items and these motions, that if it's such a strong, overwhelming benefit to the group, the California board, through the Western Zone process, could and sometimes should make it a zone motion. So it then pulls in the full weight of all the other 14 member boards, including California, and it just adds to that ability to move that through the process. So if there's some issue, and Rick knows of them, but you may know of them as well, or some that are not up at the forefront, if it's such a strong opinion, absolutely, let's bring it to the zone for a discussion. And if we need to propel it forward, we will at the national front through a zone motion. Next slide. This just goes through the committees and task forces. Currently, and every year that a president-elect gets elected, chosen, it's their obligation and their duty to provide new committees, chairs, and then, of course, it's a volunteer basis. For those that are looked at as being on a committee, it's something at which the president-elect has the discretion to do. In this case, Elizabeth Beckett Johnston, she sits down with all the member board rosters, including those members who have been in the past involved and those that may not even be within the NCAAS member board structure. And she more or less places people for their invite to becoming a committee member. And so it's very collaborative. It's a system at which you can be integrated however you want to be, and you can take the role of chair of these various committees. And people within this room have chaired various committees and being involved at that level. Next slide, please.
While you're in committees, so each year around late January, early February, a survey is sent out to all members of NCAAS, which would include all board members and any associate members. I'm associate member, Tiffany's associate member, several of our staff are, asking them what committee preference they would like to serve on. You usually make at least 3 choices. And there's way more responses to that than there are committee positions. So the president-elect each year has to make those hard decisions. But I was going to ask if anyone was noticed that you were appointed to a committee or not. Now's a good time. Okay, so let's start over here and work our way that way. So Rosanna.
I think it's the bylaws.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. I think it's the bylaws committee.
Okay.
It's there, it had something like standalone,
Or abstract.
yeah, something like that.
Is
I
that the
don't-
same? Is that the normal?
Yeah.
That's a normal bylaws committee. I guess that's the official name that none of us
Okay.
choose.
All right. So yes, that one.
Cool.
I will be continuing on the finance committee.
Nice. That's good to hear. Frank?
I'm serving on the Leadership Development Committee.
Oh, nice. That's great. Anyone else? Carl? Thank you. Are you the chair? Are you the chair? Okay, so when we have board members term out, if they're still very active with NCWS operations, our board can choose to name that board member as an emeritus member solely for interaction with NCWS. And then NCWS approves that. So Carl's one of our emeritus members, so that's why he's still able to do that. I was reappointed to UPLG committee. Abbreviations are on page 270 of the agenda packet. So, and happy to report that our former board member, Dr. Q, was appointed to serve on the MBA committee.
Great.
So that's really kind of cool. So we still have some really good representation from our board.
Yeah,
Oh,
getting a hint of.
and one who doesn't speak up, but does speak up loudly. Tiffany has been serving on the enforcement committee for a little while. She's very involved with the enforcement level at NCWS. She very willingly agreed to be the chair of the enforcement committee.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So thanks. I just wanted to, it
Yeah.
was good timing for that.
Yeah, so, and as you can see, there's some what I call horsepower in the room. And it is definitely needed. There's a lot of charges that are contemplated. There's a lot of motions that come out of these motions that are before you. There's a lot of activity that is had during the annual meeting that is going to prompt or require additional work, much like the task force, the structural task force and other task forces. The president-elect and the board of directors have the discretion of creating task forces if they so choose based on the need. And so having this many people, this many passionate individuals involved at that level is great, is absolutely great. And of course, I'm biased. I want as many Western Zone people as humanly possible. And so, yeah, we'll take them. We'll take them. Next slide. These are the standing committees. I initially had all the abbreviations up there, and it would have been just a nightmare. I would have been referring, much like Rick just did, referring to pages of the agenda, and because I wouldn't have been able to remember. But here are the standing committees. Next slide. And then these are the special committees and task forces that are, these are the 24, 25 special committees and task forces, but they're not all of them. There were others as well. One of the things that I would want to mention, though, is with each of these committees, there are consultants, they call them consultants, that are that are on each one of these committees or involved in each one of these committees, along with a representative from the board of directors. And sometimes there's multiple consultants.
Sometimes those consultants are people representing other committees. So for
Correct.
instance, the exam committees, they tend to have consultants with each other so they can cover topics that cross over engineering, survey, and exams, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, one of them specifically is the exam policies and procedures. That committee itself has representatives from the exam for professional engineers and exams for professional surveyors. I mean, why would you make a policy without those two individuals? And that's what they're about. Next slide. These are the timelines, and again, this is just something in which we're going to be learning about these motions. These motions before you within your board material. These are the results of the motions that were worked on by committees over the 24-25 year. So these are the resulting motions from the various committees. What I mentioned before is these are going to come before us at the annual meeting, and there may be, most definitely will be, motions that come out of that meeting that really help propel these motions forward. Some of these motions, they may be voted down by the overall council, all of the member boards as a group, but it may require additional work or additional study on any one of these. So it's not, I would like to say that it's never the end of any of these motions. They may take on another form of themselves in going forward. Next slide. Next slide. Excuse me. So right now the meeting structure, we have zone meetings. So each of the 4 zones meet in the early springtime. And those member boards within the zones all meet, and we have discussions relevant to our board. This past springtime, we had the ability to join or do a joint meeting with the central zone. And so we were able to meet with our fellow board members, other member board administrators from other zones, and collaborate that way. And it was a huge benefit to the overall group because it just allowed us to get another perspective and really understand that we sometimes don't have such a unique issue before us within our zone. They could be talking about it within the other zones as well. One of those being the structural exam. And another one is the nuclear exam. Okay. Next slide. These are the zone meetings that happened earlier this springtime, and then of course the annual meeting coming up August 19th through the 22nd in New Orleans. One of the things that just changed recently this year is as zone vice president, I was afforded the opportunity to go to the other zones. And what I took that opportunity to be is I could understand what the discussion was at those other zones. And because Western Zone, their date that we met was last within the grouping, I think it afforded the Western Zone a little bit of opportunity to understand the issue. I was able to get the information out to our group quickly, and we'd have some pretty good discussions, really quality discussions at our level. as a leader of the Western Zone group, I really enjoy the discussions that we have at the zone meeting and keeping those very lively and sometimes passionate is what I try to do, to where when we get to the annual meeting, we've managed to either discuss and arrive at a solution or a uniform or a consistent idea or a motion decision, if you will, rather than trying to discuss it, trying to digest it, and trying to understand it, all while trying to vote on it at the annual meeting. It's very hard to do. You all have been in that similar scenario where you're handed the piece of paper at the last minute and you're trying to understand the relevance and the depth of it and expected to make a decision. That's something that I very much strive to not have exist so early and often. But that's how we're set up. Zone meetings kind of are the workhorse, the work shop committees, workshop meetings, if you will, to where when we get to the annual meeting, we've discussed it. At least we become knowledgeable on it, and we educate ourselves on it. Next slide. These are the state of council meetings. Hopefully, everyone in the room have attended the state of the council meetings with NCWS. As a new board member, if you haven't, you will be. They're webinars, they're virtual meetings at which you can attend during the. Go ahead.
Just on me, is NCWS still fund first-time board members to attend the annual? And does that need specific approval from our state agency to allow them
Yeah,
to go?
anyone traveling out of state has to have approval. And that was eliminated.
Was this discussed in May?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other people that are?
We can only have 2 go if they get approved.
So you don't have board funded? Do you have board funded delegates that go?
If we can't get $0 approved, what makes you think we're gonna get funded positions approved?
Okay, I'll move on here. Yeah, so these state of the council meetings are the meetings that happen in between the other zone meetings, and we like to have them on a monthly basis, and it just kind of keeps everybody up on the latest and current events that happen within NCWS and other member boards. They're often Q&A. You can post various questions. Everything is put on the table, including financial disclosures. Sometimes foundation level discussions are had. So as a member of the board and you're attending, you can post a question or at least get information back. So they're very useful. And I encourage each one of you to attend. Next slide. Excuse me, getting involved. We talked about the involvement with the committee invites or the surveys that go out. I really am a huge proponent of not using the word surveys. I know. Rick knows me well enough to, in all of my meetings, I call them questionnaires, because anytime somebody talks surveys, you know, as a land surveyor, that piques my interest, and I really start to get involved in, hey, what do you mean you're surveying? Different type of surveying, but so I like to call them questionnaires.
You don't go door to door.
No. But you are involved. If you're on the board as a member, you are involved in NCWS. You have a huge amount of responsibility, not only in your day-to-day lives, but also to this board, to the obligation to the public, to other professionals. But also you have the unique responsibility to use that authority and use that knowledge to help on a national front. And your involvement includes at the national level, NCWS. So we talked about exam development already in the committees. Next slide. This is just for more information. We can reach out. You can reach out through Rick, or you can reach out through myself. I can make my contact information available to each one of us. But I want to encourage each of you to, if you haven't already, to go through the E3 page of NCWS. If you go to ncws.org, go on to the My NCWS. Each board member has a login in which they can log into they call it the E3 environment. And you can see information with regard to not only your board, but other boards as well, zones, advocacy fronts, committees, policy positions of NCWS. If you're talking model rules and model laws, copies are available through the E3 process and the NCWS website as well. But more information, certainly you can contact Rick. Is probably the best resource if you need to. Next slide. This is what you look at through My NCWS. Obviously, if you're licensed in multiple states in which they use the NCWS record or not as part of the application process, you most likely want to have or do have a My NCEES, which is the NCWS customers on the left-hand side. Okay, that will allow you to input your data for your home state. If you want to track your continuing professional development information, you can certainly do that within your My NCWS. The right side of the page, if you will, is for the board members and the E3 process. That's where you can get links and information on your advocacy, on any sort of motions, other meeting materials, past meeting materials. If you want minutes to any of the annual meetings or zone meetings, you can get them as well through there. Next slide. We talk about one of the things that we often do is we talk about things that affect not only our local boards, if you will, the California board being one of them, but how they may affect other boards. And unknowingly, another board could be going through the same or similar process of trying to head off deregulation or any sort of threat to public protection or threats of licensure. And so one of the huge benefits of NCWS is the ability to communicate across state lines, to use the information of other boards in their work to sometimes head off that threat to licensure or the threat to the deregulation front. One of the benefits also I have within my board within Washington State is if we're working on any sort of legislation or rulemaking, you better believe it. If California has gone through the similar path, I'm going to go to California and look up sort of the background and how we can plug it into my board and help it be a little bit of more streamlined process. I don't want to have to reinvent things when we're talking about rulemaking, and so California, I know definitely because I've done it. I've cherry picked a lot of the information from what you guys have provided in the rulemaking process within Washington State. And I've provided your information to other states as well that are going through the same. And likewise, I've talked to Frank and others about similar issues across other states. Hey, check this out from this other board that's working on similar legislation. Use this, and maybe that will gain you a little bit of a better model. Next slide, please. Something that the president-elect coming up, Elizabeth Beckett Johnston, is trying to promote more of, not that we haven't done in the past, but promote more of is a collaboration with professional organizations. Currently, you'll notice on the screen the Alliance for Responsible Professional Licensing. It's a group or coalition of NCWS, CLARB, NCARB, other organizations in which you often may do work with or cross-pollinate with. And so one of the things that the president-elect is wanting to do is do more engagement with those organizations. Stepping into the exam development role, if there is a need for an exam, if you want to just call it whatever, you create a new exam. If you want to create a new exam, NCWS just doesn't come up and say, I think that we need to have this new exam. Under our policies and procedures, that is not the case. The procedure is a professional organization needs to be almost a partner or more so a huge advocate on whether or not there's a need for that exam before there's any activity happening at the NCWS level. So huge amount of involvement with partners in the professional organizations is critical to the development of exams. Like we're experiencing with the nuclear exam. Nuclear exam with a low population or low pool size of candidates. It's on the, I want to say it's on the threshold of potentially being discontinued because of the low amount of candidates that it sees. Well, that is also being discussed with the Nuclear Society because they have a huge role to play in the development of that exam and the maintenance of that exam. So whatever the decision that's made is made with their help and with their approval, if you will. It's not made in silos. We're all in this together, including the professional organizations. Next slide, please. These are just the advocacy priorities. We talk about NCWS has a representative or a staff member, Josh Twitty, who his sole responsibility is to look at the legislation across the entire member board spectrum, including California, and track those bills that may have regulation affecting them or may benefit from support from NCWS. And so as a member board, Rick himself, including staff, has the ability to look at other legislation across the country, across all the member boards, and to see what is going on and see if there's an advocacy role for NCWS as well. Next slide. So this is just a list of what can member boards do. We've talked about a lot of them today. I will again make myself available if you have any questions. I think it's pretty safe bet that once you become aware of a lot of these initiatives or advantages of being a part of the member board, your eyes are gonna open up and the wheels are gonna start spinning as to, hey, I got some ideas here. And that's what we've built NCWS on. Next slide. These are the exam services. So right now we have 37 computer-based testing engineering exams, 7 being FE and 30 PE exams. And you can see the makeup there. Of course, the structural PE exam, that's 6 in itself, which, shout out to the structurals in the room. If I had 6 surveying exams that I had to take for one result, that would be hard for me. It would be hard for me. So, but I know that the PE structurals in the room and across the country are very, very engaged, especially in creating a defensible and consistent and reliable evaluation tool through the exam process. So, next slide. These are the exam services for the surveying exam. Of course, these are small numbers with respect to the engineering exams. Numbers wise, as far as the number of licensees within California for engineering versus surveying, maybe 5% are surveying.
Wow.
Yes.
Maybe it's 4,000 versus 100,000.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that NCWS very much does is include the voice of the smaller community, being the surveying community. And we're a very outspoken bunch. And we very much are engaged in all the exam processes with respect to surveying in NCWS. Next slide. That is all I have. I would note, I wish I just kind of saw it as it turned there, but there's a new PLSS, Public Land Survey exam that's going to be coming out in October of 2027. And so that is going to be a huge, I call it a huge benefit to the examination process with NCWS and with our own member boards, especially in those states that have public lands and public land surveying. So that's coming up. I want to ask if there's any questions.
So Betsy and then Frank.
Thank you for all that information. When you mentioned that you prefer the term questionnaire instead of survey, I thought of another term and got jealous because you guys can be survey monkeys. We need some geology monkeys out here. I wanted to think, I wrote down 2 things you said as quotes that I know this kind of information has been submitted to the people who are considering our out-of-state travel requests, But to hear things like, this board is at the leading edge of what we do nationally. And board members like Frank, Christina, and Rosanna, with their level of involvement, have a huge amount of influence when it comes to the national level. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you for reinforcing that.
Very
And I
much.
hope it goes up.
Very much so. I would stand before those that I need to and say that specific thing.
Well, first of all, welcome to Sacramento. Welcome to California. We made sure that it was not as hot as typically is. And
I
I know,
appreciate that, Frank.
I know you'll be here another day, so we're hoping that the trend continues. Before I ask my question, by the way, and I want to echo what my colleague just said. Thank you for your presentation. Very high level, but very good. I mean, I learned stuff even from your presentation. And by the way, I'm sure it can be shared so that we can use it.
Absolutely.
I would like to get a copy at some point or whatever, but
Mhm.
we can deal with that later. I have a specific question regarding your report.
Okay.
Specifically, do you know about the site selection committee? Do you know they provided the date for 2026, which is understandable, the date and the location.
Right.
2028, they provided the location, not a date to be determined. Totally get that. 2027 kind of caught me by surprise. I'm not understanding. It says combine all zone meetings and does
Right.
not have a location or a date even to be determined.
It does. It does. I just didn't have it in my report. I didn't have it at the time
Okay.
that I wrote my report, but it is.
Do we have,
Um,
do
I
you remember offhand?
believe that we are in.
We
Yeah.
can get it later. That's okay.
Yeah, but it is a combined. So one of the things that NCWS 2027.
So is
yeah.
that means all the zones?
Yes, yes. So
The second time.
yeah,
I'm sorry?
This will be the second time we do that.
Okay, I was gonna say, I never heard that we had a old zone, so that's interesting in 2027.
Did it
right.
A couple years ago, didn't we?
Yes.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, in Houston.
That's right. That was a Houston
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
So no rush, but at your convenience, if since you have that information, please share it with us. So
Absolutely, I
Please.
will. I will.
Have it.
Yeah. It's again, earlier this spring, we saw the combined zone meeting, Western Zone and Central Zone met. Next year in 2026, springtime, the Southern Zone and the Northeast Zone are going to meet together and do a joint meeting, while we're going to be in Bend for the Western Zone. But then 27, again, every cycle we get together as a as a full, mini annual meeting.
Annual meetings.
Yeah.
Refer to it as.
So basically 2 annual meetings will be in 2027. I feel it's to celebrate the PLSS exam, but that's just me,
Should be.
you know.
Did
So-
you take a survey or a questionnaire of that?
Questionnaire. Yeah. So yeah, I'll get that information. I appreciate that.
great, thank you.
Yeah.
And lastly, just wanted to say sincerely, wanted to thank you for your leadership, not only with the Western Zone, but with the National Council and for volunteering. And, as you said, no organization can do the work without their volunteers. And unless you are a volunteer, you don't know sometimes the level of commitment and time and efforts. So thank you for stepping up and for your leadership.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Again, I'm a consultant. I work in private practice, but I am passionate about surveying, and I'm passionate about ensuring that the public protection through quality exams is focused upon. So,
Christina?
So Frank, kind of took the words out of my mouth. I actually also want to thank you and also the other leadership, to really push forward, this, maintaining the agenda, and the mission of NCES. Me as a public member, I really enjoy, the process of being involved, in the zone level and also in the national level. And I can attest that, this is a very financially healthy, organization, really wanting to do the right thing. So I want to thank you all, just, being the volunteer, but at the same time, really putting the efforts and time, to help supporting the profession and the licensure. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or discussion from the board or questions for Aaron? I'm going to open it up to the floor for comments, public comment. Carl.
I just want to sneak in here and give a couple of comments. I will be at the NCS meeting. I don't have to be approved by the state to attend, and they're paying my way anyway. I was honored to be told that I was going to be getting the President's Award this year. So
Congrats.
so they're paying my way to attend. I was on the structures working group this last year, and we put together a fairly comprehensive report. There were 3 things we were asked to look at. One is, should significant structures be included in model rules and model law, at least the definition of significant structures. And then secondly, there's some question about whether commissioning, inspections, and some other topics should be included in the definition of engineering. So after quite a bit of work, and there were 8 of us on the working group, we did present a memorandum to the board that said, yes, the definition of significant structures should be included in model rules. So that'll go to a task force next year, and then the task force will make a formal decision and then formally present a recommendation. So it's kind of a long, convoluted process, but that's kind of the way it works with NCES. And then on the second portion, which was the definition of engineering, we decided that a lot of it did not need to be included in the definition of engineering, but that assessment of structures did need to be. That is something that should be done by an engineer.
The definition of engineering or definition of structural engineering?
Definition of engineering. Yeah, building assessment should be in definition of engineering. But it'll be up to the task force to figure out how it fits in and where it fits in. And so I have been appointed to the task force this next year by incoming president, and we'll see where that goes. So again, I really appreciate your letting me continue as an emeritus member. It gives me the opportunity to work at the national level, and it's been very rewarding to me. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you for volunteering.
Yeah, I know. I might ask you.
All right. Moderator, can you open up WebEx for public comment?
Certainly. If anyone would like to make a comment on the NCEES report, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. And our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hands. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. We do have a request from Rob McMillan. And Rob, I'll send you your request to unmute and you'll get the pop-up.
Thank you very much for that NCEES presentation, and congratulations to Carl on his upcoming award.
Thank you.
And I do not see any further requests for comment. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So getting back to our regularly scheduled program, if the motions, if anyone has anything, I looked through the motions. There doesn't seem to be a lot really controversial this year in terms of the board of directors not endorsing something or keeping something off the consent. It seems like the normal ones, like the finance motions are generally not on the consent calendar, or they're usually pulled from the consent calendar because people want to debate those on the floor. There's just a few that I saw, but if there's anything that anyone wishes to discuss, this is now a good time, so that should we get approved to travel to the meeting, that our delegates will understand where the board is at and what their position is on certain motions, subject to debates. So is there anything anyone wants to discuss in the packet of motions from NCWS? Cool. I like that. The next thing and the last thing in this topic begins on page 405. This is a topic that has come up several times in the past with NCWS. As Aaron mentioned about the makeup of the board of directors, just about every other professional organization similar to NCWS for other professions, so examinations for other professions, includes a representative of the member board executives or member board administrators and on their board of directors. We had a little bit of discussion on this late in our zone meeting in Albuquerque. They kind of took a vote on that. It was a last minute thing. The vote failed, but it failed because it was basically a split vote. And so I came away from that and decided I'm going to write an article for the Licensure Exchange, it's NCWS publication on that. This is the problem with a long drive back from New Mexico, as I think, and I had this written within the next day in my head. Consulted with other boards because the other board administrators have told me their positions on some of this. Asked the MBA committee chair if this was okay, and he's like, yeah, we're looking for an article. So submitted the article for NCWS. They've made a few little revisions to it, which were pretty good revisions. And right now it's just an article that will not be released until like literally days before the annual meeting. I was told by several other, at least 6 or 7 other member board administrators, of one of which their board is ready to make a motion to do this on the floor. But other ones want to support a motion if one's going to be made. I'm not advocating for California to make a motion because sometimes when California makes motions, people go, oh, it's California. Yeah, we don't. There are likely is going to be someone else that's going to make, a member board is going to make a motion to take some action on this, whatever that action is or whatever that motion is. I have no idea. But I just wanted to brief you on this because this was something that did come up at the zone meeting. Christina and Frank and I were discussing this at the zone meeting. They're well aware of the topic that got discussed. Wanted to bring it to your attention. It's coming up. May want to consider how you want to guide them, if you want to guide them, or just let it go and whatever you want to do. But I did want to keep you all informed about all this. So,
Well, I for one support it. I feel, I mean, what we see today is staff and Rick, executive director overseeing staff and the administrative side, staff does a lot of the work. Our job is easier because of staff, and we have great staff that work here. I'm very proud of being part of this organization. I feel that somebody in an MBA role should be at that board level and NCES representing us as well. So I fully support it. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. Again, being brand new, it seems commonsensical to me that you would have that. Why has it been shot down last time or two?
I can't remember some of the reasons. I know it's been discussed before. I mean, Aaron mentioned it, and one of the things that this is, the MBAs as a committee have only been around in my lifetime at the board, at this board and involved with NCWS. They were originally a task force that became more permanent as a committee around 2012, 2013 timeframe. So it's relatively new. My experiences and other people in my role at other boards, the board of directors always invites someone from the MBA community, and usually the committee tries to find that person to represent there. And it's very highly respectable, very interactive. We work together on things. They're always interested in our perspective about things. But the reason why we've pushed it several times is that, and some of this is my own personal opinion, and some of the opinions I've heard from my counterparts, is we live this every day. You guys come to 6 or 7 board meetings. Sometimes you're more involved in processes. I know Aaron and his board, he doesn't have the staff to do the enforcement like we do. Their board members are actually their investigators. Sometimes they're the ones who are reviewing the applications. So some other boards, some board members are much more involved in processes. But for the most part, the MBAs really are the liaison between the board and the applicants, the licensees, and the public. And since we really are here to protect the public, we're licensed to protect the public, I think it would benefit and help NCWS and in their standing in the community, which is already very highly regarded among their counterpart organizations. That if they can show that they're considering the public voice in any of their decisions, not just the way they're respectfully doing it now, but in their actual decision-making mode. And considering that, I think that's going to go a long ways to continue to elevate NCWS's standing in the communities. So I think we have to think, whether some of us are licensed or not, we have to think what's in the best interest of the public. And that's one of our paramount statutes at this board, is if there's any kind of conflict of any decision, it always has to be what's in the best interest of the public. So I just think that, and several of my counterparts think that the member board administrator would do nothing but add to that at the board of directors level.
Yeah, I just don't understand the argument against that.
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And certainly, we don't want to go back about all the why and why nots, but there's a couple things that I wanted to quickly point out. Number one, at the zone meeting, myself, Ali, and Christina, we had to make a decision on, and we decided then to support that motion. So I hope that does not disappoint anyone on the board. And if anyone has a contrary opinion, please speak up, because we need that feedback. So we intend, to continue to support. With that said, and I don't remember who, and even Rick, I think you wrote it on your piece, one particular member asked this question that stuck with me. And I wanted to read it to you, share it with you. And I quote, and she said, "I do wish to understand why the perception that MBAs are relegated to the, quote, kids table, rather than being included in the big people's table." And that's very visual. He sort of like brings the point home. I mean, why? And of course, there's many answers that the opponents, I'm sure, will have, but I just wanted to share that with the group. And like I said, to get a consensus, if anything else, of on the issue, so that we are aware, when we are there at the meeting, to know how much to push, how much to advocate for this, independent, of Rick position.
So just to add to this, so we were at the Albuquerque meeting, and at the last session, we were meeting as a zone. One of the directors came up to me and said, "Hey, can you make this motion in your zone meeting? Because it was intended to be made in Southern Zone, but they ran out of time." And I said, "Sure, send me the language." I had 30 minutes. I'm texting him up there saying, "Hey, I got to make a motion." And I said, "I got 30 minutes to make this motion." And we literally had 20 minutes to talk about it. Most of the discussion was about the structural exam, as it should have been. But we didn't really have a lot of time to talk about this. And that was that person's first meeting, NCWS meeting. They were new to their board. And so they didn't understand it, and they didn't mean it in a derogatory way. And I don't think it was took that way, but it was kind of interesting, but that struck me too. That afternoon, I was driving back thinking about that comment. So, you know,
Betsy?
That's it. Thank you.
Betsy?
Thank you. Rick, thanks for drafting this article. And thank you to our representatives who voted in support of such a motion at the zone meeting. Some people may look at it, the idea of putting an MBA on the board as a way to make up for years of hard work by MBAs. Yeah, they're really part of the team. Let's have representation on the board. But as Rick said in his article, it's a lot more than that. And I think the two most important points are that no matter what board you're on in the country, you're only involved in it part-time. The MBAs are involved full-time and see every aspect of it. And the other part is the MBAs are the only people, particularly on the boards that have no public members, the MBAs are the only people who are looking day in and day out of working in the interest of the public. So thank you.
Any more discussion from the board?
Do we need a motion for that?
Well, we opened it up, so I have to do public comment, right?
That's up to you. I know there's one other board that in a different zone who wants to make a motion. But what I'm interested, and I've heard it, of what you guys all think, because you're representative of the other 900 board members across the nation and for this, and what you think if it would be important or not. If you think so, then you don't have to take a motion, but you could provide guidance to the two representatives at the meeting if this does come up as a debate, then they know what you guys all think. So it's up to you however you want to proceed with that.
Do I have a motion? Betsy, and then Desiree.
I move that we provide guidance to our two representatives to talk up the idea of this and encourage any other state that wants to make the motion to do so, because I appreciate Rick's concern that if it comes from California, some people might discount it immediately.
I fully second that.
Okay, we got a motion by Betsy and a second by Desiree. Okay, is there further discussion by the board?
I was just going to say, from what I hear so far, I've only heard, I mean, we haven't taken a vote or anything like that, but I've heard general consensus that we would support this. And if we are in New Orleans and it comes up, whether another board makes the motion or not, we'll support it. Representing this board here today.
Yeah, to me, the most important thing is hearing no opposition, and the full support, for Rick's letter. And then I think it gives, Rosanna and I, when we go, then some good direction, to move forward, to take action.
Betsy?
Perhaps I should amend my motion to add, and if no other state comes forward to move that this be voted on, our representative should do that. Do I have a second for that?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you.
And that motion and a second. Is there any further discussion by the board? Okay. Opening the floor for public comment. Seeing none. Moderator, can you please open WebEx for public comment?
Certainly, if anyone would like to make a comment on the motion, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. And our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hand. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. And we do have a request for comment from Rob McMillan. Rob, I'll send you the request and you'll get that pop-up.
It's just, you know, Rob.
Rob McMillan, California Land Surveyors Association. This sounds like a completely sensible motion to make, and support your efforts on this. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I do not see any further requests for comment at this time. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Selena, can you please call the vote?
President Martinez,
Yes.
Vice President Rufino,
Yes.
Dr. Amistad,
Yes.
Dr. Ascari,
Yes.
Ms. D'Antonio,
Yes.
Ms. Haggard,
Yes.
Mr. Hallinan,
Yes.
Mr. Hartley,
Yes.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Villegas, Ms. Wong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
And lastly, beginning on page 40, actually solely on page 47, is our outreach report from, oh no, it goes into 408, sorry. Our outreach report for the last quarter of last fiscal year, so April through June. You can see what we normally, how exciting our website is and social media, and also what events that we've done for outreach to applicants and licensees. If anyone has any questions on that.
Do we have any questions from the board? Betsy?
No question, but I think this is good information to follow up on a discussion we had earlier in the meeting about how can we encourage more people to go into the professions that we regulate, going into STEM, because this outreach serves to give students guidance for what courses they should be taking during their undergraduate years so that they're prepared to apply for licensure.
Further comments? Is there any comments from the floor from the public? Seeing none. Moderator, can you please open WebEx for public comment?
Certainly, if anyone would like to make a comment, you can raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon. Calling users can press *3. And we do have a request from Rob McMillan. Rob, I'm sending you your request to unmute.
And probably my last comment of the day. Thank you to the board staff for their involvement in all of our professional associations. Having them in person or even virtual, and speaking to our members, our licensees, and our future licensees is a critical component of their work that goes maybe underappreciated, but by those who they impact with their presentations, it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I do not see any further requests for public comment. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before moving on, just want to thank you again, Aaron, for coming here in person and providing that presentation. It was very useful. I learned a lot. I think a lot of us did. So thank you and good luck in New Orleans next month. Okay, moving on to next item, President's Report and Board Member Activities. I have a couple of things to report. I attended the NCWS State of the Council meeting on June 4th and the one on June 9th. And then I attended the DCA quarterly board leadership meeting on June 17th. Any items from the board members?
I also attended the DCA leadership meeting on June 17th.
Frank and then Tom.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. President. And real quick, although I did it privately, but publicly, once again, I would like to congratulate and welcome our newest 2 board members. And also Congratulations to the reappointment of our former president, Christine Wang, to the board. So good job. Glad that everybody's on board. So real quick, also I wanted to, as you heard, that I serve on the Leadership Development Committee representing this board. And just real quick, particularly since we have new member, I want to give a minute, less than a minute, to tell you what the Leadership Development Committee does and what our what we do. First of all, it's composed of the assistant vice president, a member board administrator, and then the appointed members. And you can see, you know, in the report, there is the names of all the appointed members. Is chaired by the vice president of the zone meeting, which is Scott from Arizona, which, by the way, I would say has done an incredible job. Has done a great job in leading the committee. The committee assists with orientation and outreach for new members and member board administrators. So new members, hopefully you will get a call from the committee, and also helps communicate leadership philosophy and to groom future leaders. Perform outreach to member boards, organize leadership or new member orientation training at each zone interim meetings, and prepare and submit an annual report to the zone vice president, who in turn will include this report in the zone report at the annual meeting in New Orleans. Just real quick, we've completed a meeting a couple weeks ago. I think it was in July 17, and we are scheduled to meet in person in New Orleans at the annual meeting. But one of the initiative that I want to share with you, apparently has not been done in the past, is we're looking at the possibility of getting a zone newsletter. We're just trying to find an editor or someone who's willing to head that, who wants to lead that effort, which could be published possibly twice a year, and it could be of benefit, you know, for sharing information on legislative updates or committee appointments or zone meetings and so on and so forth. And for those who are interested, please let us know. We have set up already all of our meetings for the rest of the year, all the way to next year. So if there's an interest, please either, either reach out to Rick or reach out to me or to any one of us. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Oh, did you have to say?
Well, I just want nothing to report, obviously. I just want to say thank you to all of the board members and staff and interested members of the public for making me feel so welcome today. And I look forward to working with all of you in the future.
I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. I was going to use this time to have both of you introduce yourself and say a little bit about your background, so the board, the rest of the board, and everybody else can get to know you a little bit better. So, Desiree, if you want to start.
Sure. Yeah, thank you everyone for the warm welcome this morning. Really appreciate it, and nice to talk to you and get to know some of you. So my name is Desiree Haggard. I currently am the Vice President of Sustainability and Environmental for Unisum North America. We are a construction materials company focusing in cement, concrete, and mining aggregates. My 20 years experience in the industry has all been in cement, with a focus on environmental permitting and compliance. So hence you understand my question probably about the environmental PE. I have a lot of those that have worked for me over the years. So I'm really excited to be on this board, learn more, and hopefully have the opportunity to get involved with NCES and the different committees. I'm happy to help where I can. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you and welcome.
Hello again, Tom Halloran. For the last 30 years, I've been a local government, city, and special district attorney. The last year, I made a couple of changes. I work part-time as a city attorney and part-time as a prosecutor now down in Stanislaus County. This is my fourth appointment. I wanted to do something that had a regulatory nature with it. This sounds great. My background's in legislation, so I'm very excited about this. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, is there anything else to report from any of the board members? Okay, I'll open up the floor for public comment. Seeing none. Moderator, can you please open up WebEx for public comment?
Certainly, if anyone would like to make a comment on the president's report, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. And each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Any comments on the president's report? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 10, approval of the meeting minutes. Christina?
I'll move to approve the May 29th, 2025 board meeting minutes.
Okay, have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second from Phil and a motion from Christina. Is there any discussion from the board?
Quick question. Do we use like Copilot? I think it's mainly Selena. Can we use like something like AI program like Copilot to write the Teams meeting, or you just write everything yourself? Like in a lot of our meeting, you know, they just use Copilot and everything is already written, and you just. I just want to, you know, ease your job, you know.
You want to displace Selena? Is that what you're saying?
No, we can't do that.
Can never replace Selena.
No, definitely not. Yes, that's right.
If you don't mind, I would like to just gently respond to that I think we should continue with note taking in by hand or in person as opposed to using AI, just to make sure the notes are consistent with what we actually discussed. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? Betsy?
I agree with Desiree. I actually found 2 tiny typos. And this is my second time through it. On page 425, it says motioned was denied. It should be motion was denied. And page 426, it says move to close the nominations, and it should be moved to close the nominations. 426.
I need to amend the motion with corrections.
So
All right.
I'll amend the motion with my original motion with amendment.
With corrections from Betsy. Second stands from Phil. So a motion from Christina and a second from Phil. Do you have any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, the floor is now open for public comment. Seeing none, moderator, can you please open up WebEx for public comment?
Certainly, if anyone would like to make a comment on the minutes or the motion, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 5 minutes with a 30-second warning. Are there any comments on the minutes or the motion? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Selena, can you please call the vote?
President Martinez,
Yes.
Vice President Rufino,
Yes.
Dr. Amistad,
Yes.
Dr. Asghari,
Yes.
Ms. D'Antonio,
Yes.
Ms. Haggard,
Yes.
Mr. Hallinan,
Abstain?
Mr. Hartley,
Abstain.
Ms. Matheson,
Yes.
Mr. Villegas, Ms. Wong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to be moving into closed session.